Good evening. Newsplus begins right now with me, Wadzanai Sansole. Now, today is the first Monday of August, and here's to hoping you did start it on a good note. These are the stories you can look forward to tonight. Zimbabwe sets target to achieve $10 billion industry. Second-hand clothes, street and night vending banned. Harvesting integrity, GMB officials take stand against corruption. And in sport, Scotland makes bold championship statement. A closer look at the stories making the headlines tonight. Zimbabwe is repositioning tourism at the center of its economic agenda. After attracting 3 million visitors in 2024 and emerging as the 6th most visited destination in Africa, the country has launched a bold new tourism and hospitality policy. Now, the policy sets a $10 billion tourism industry. Ibn Mabunda attended the launch in Harare and filed this report.
Today, President Emmerson Mnangagwa launched the country's tourism and hospitality industry policy, which is expected to carry Zimbabwe for the next 6 years between 2025 and 2030. Zimbabwe was placed 6th among Africa's most visited countries in 2024, recording 3 million arrivals, just behind Algeria, which took 5th spot with 3.5 million visitors. Now, the country is building on that momentum with a new policy that aims to cement tourism as a national economic driver.
The unveiling of this policy is, therefore, timely, as it dovetails with our national development agenda. It also echoes the collective aspirations of the people of our great motherland, Zimbabwe, to establish, promote, and enjoy a prosperous and fulfilling quality of life.
The sector now contributes 12% to Zimbabwe's GDP. The new policy replaces the National Tourism Recovery and Growth Strategy, which ran from 2020 to 2025 and focuses on wider reforms, product diversity, and formalizing digital platforms.
I exhort the sector to remain guided by the primary goals outlined under this policy. These include utilization of innovative strategies to accelerate tourism and hospitality industry development.
The blueprint sets an ambitious $5 billion earnings target by 2030 from the $1.2 billion revenues registered in 2024 and outlines structural reforms to make Zimbabwe a top-tier destination both regionally and globally.
We had a target of reaching 5 billion tourism economy in 2025, but we've already surpassed that in 2024, and today we are challenging as the policy is from 2025 to 2030. We are challenging ourselves today to reach 10 billion tourism economy by 2030.
At the heart of the plan are 12 special tourism clusters aimed at unlocking regional potential and supported by projects such as new roads, airports, lodges, and a 10,000-seater cricket stadium in Victoria Falls.
We have stated 6 objectives. If you go through the 6 objectives, one of it is to improve our infrastructure, growth in infrastructure, and the other thing that has been mentioned, infrastructure in giving families what to do when they go to our places.
The policy also aligns with Zida's one-stop investment center, prioritizing public-private partnerships, special economic zones, and diaspora financing to increase capital inflows and reduce bureaucracy.
As government, we invest in the enablers. Enablers being obviously the environment for investment by the private sector, the road networks, the airlines, and other transportation facilitation mechanisms. The private sector, on the other hand, then they meet us halfway. They invest in the hotels. We have some hotels as well as government.
The policy further promotes green tourism, digital transformation, climate resilience, and skills development with a focus on inclusive growth and community ownership of tourism assets. Zimbabwe endeavors the attainment of a $10 billion tourism industry by 2030. This will require strict implementation by both private and public sector institutions. Ibe Nabunda, reporting for ZTN Prime at the State House in Harare.
We are now joined live by Golden Sibanda, Zim Paper's Business Hub News Editor. Good evening, Golden. Thank you for making time. What regulatory adjustments would you suggest be effected in order to make this policy a reality?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I think there are several, policy adjustments that need to be worked on in order to make the new tourism policy effective and successful. In terms of the regulatory environment, I think government needs to attend to issues that have always been mentioned in terms of negative impact, in terms of the negative impact on the tourism industry, and these include the issue of licenses and fees. For a long time, we've heard how the high cost of doing business has been a drag on the performance or profitability of businesses in Zimbabwe. So tourism is one of the key sectors of the economy, which is also similarly affected by regulatory issues, too many licenses, fees and charges that don't facilitate, the growth and profitability of business. And so I think government will actually go a long way in enhancing the performance of the tourism industry if, through the new tourism policy, programs and initiatives are implemented to address the impact of the regulatory environment, fees and charges, which the President is on record as per his address during his first address to Cabinet this year, that government would actually work on a review of the business environment. And from where I stand, I think that also includes the tourism industry, which is also impacted by several licenses and constrained operating environment as a result of many regulatory requirements that business operators must comply with in this particular sector.
One other thing, Golden, domestic tourism has been touted as a low-hanging fruit. How best can authorities leverage this to boost the local industry?
Yeah, domestic tourism is a high potential to drive the growth of the tourism industry. As you are aware, during the COVID-19 era, domestic tourism is what kept the tourism industry in Zimbabwe going, when international tourists could not visit, as governments across the world implemented national lockdowns to contain the spread of the respiratory disease. Local tourists were the ones that actually, were filling up all the hotels across the country, visiting tourist attractions across the country, which sustained the businesses of local hospitality industry players. So I think with adequate support and focus in terms of tailor-making products to make sure that we improve affordability, we raise awareness, and we encourage local tourists to take adventures, visit areas of interest, we can actually go a long way in making sure that we drive the growth of tourism, as it is a very key sector in this economy, in that it drives the growth of the economy, creates employment, and generates foreign currency for the country.
Thank you very much, Golden, for shedding more light on this new tourism policy. Have a good evening. Now, in other news, the government has banned the sale of second-hand clothing in the central business districts of local authorities and has also prohibited all night vending effective immediately. Local authorities have been directed to implement the ban in a humane manner, and Local Government and Public Works Minister Tongogara made the announcement today during an interactive meeting with City of Harare councillors at Town House.
Once a symbol of prosperity, the streets of Harare's central business district have descended into chaos. The clean, safe, and uncongested pavements that once characterized the capital city have given way to free-for-all. Combi-touts, short for customers, vendors spill onto the sidewalks with all kinds of stuff for sale. For pedestrians, the situation is a nightmare. Narrow pathways force them to take a detour just to get from one street to the other. Now authorities are looking to tackle these issues. Government has since directed the city of Harare to implement the ban of street and night vending.
Let me take this opportunity, however, to advise that the government has banned the importation and the selling of second-hand clothing. And consequently, street and night vending activities are equally banned. Let me repeat. Government has banned the importation of second-hand clothing and the subsequent selling of second-hand clothing. And government has also banned street vending and night vending.
Authorities believe that there may be more to this night vending. They suspect they may be selling illicit substances in disguise.
Night vending has also brought with it illicit drug and substance deals, which is a threat to our health, a threat to the economy generally, and a serious threat to national security.
However, city fathers have been implored to be humane and not harass the elderly in dealing with this matter. The ban on importation and selling of second-hand clothes, demolition of informal settlements, addressing current traffic state, and enacting proactive measures ahead of the rainy season were some of the issues that were raised by the local government minister.
Let's not be tough by harassing elderly people. Let's do it in a humane manner. We have to educate them first. This is what government is done. We are giving you whatever period we give them, for as long as it does not exceed a month, so that they can prepare and reorganize themselves and move away from streets.
Harare City Mayor Jacob Mafume is optimistic about the implementation and is hopeful that it will bring desired results.
So what we wanted is for the minister to understand and the government to understand the things that we need to do in terms of service delivery. So our expectation is that we'll start moving faster to make sure that we assist the people of Harare to be able to get smooth service delivery in their key pain points.
While efforts to restore the Sunshine City status are being implemented, city fathers have also been urged to prioritize service delivery. And to complement this, government is committed to support with service trucks which will ensure timely service provision. For ZTM Prime, I am Sithaji Gwaza in Harare.
And now Ruben Akili, who is the Combined Harare Residents Association Director, joins us live to gather reactions and insights on the night vending ban and its impact. Good evening, Ruben. Thank you for joining us here on Newsplus. Tell me, as residents, what is your reaction to the ban on night vending, especially looking at it from a perspective of maintaining order in the city?
As I said before, I think from a CRA perspective, the ban or the moratorium which has just been issued today, we would envisage a situation where this is more of like, a product of consultation, a product of dialogue, a product where even we can also be able to come up with alternatives. So a total ban is very, very difficult even to be sustained, both by the local authority and central government. I think all of us, we know that even some months ago, there was also a ban on vending. Even the night vending, it's not the first time. But again, when we then engage in dialogue, with the critical stakeholders, residents associations, those who are in the SMEs, the Ministry of Local Government, local authorities, we can also be able to find a lasting solution to this crisis. Because the issue here is the economy. People are facing challenges economically. Hence, you actually see the emergence of vending, not only in the day, in daylight, but also even in the evening. So again, it's about also ensuring that our bylaws speak to the issues that also, or to contextual issues. We really need to look in our bylaws. We cannot continuously, I would say, refer to some bylaws probably which are not speaking to our context. Hence, we call for some reforms within our bylaws. At some point in time, the mayor of Harare, the local authority had a vision to say, Harare is a night city, and they were also calling for some to regulate some of the night activities.
Now, Ruben, as you've just said, the mayor is on record saying Harare is a sleepless city. How can authorities strike a balance between the ban and actually allowing the city's night activity to thrive?
So, in our view, there is that need to sit down, the local authority, Ministry of Local Government, other key stakeholders, which I've just said, ZRP, amongst others, so that then we can be able to find a lasting solution to this crisis. And again, as I said before, there is also the need to then look in our bylaws to say how do we then ensure that our bylaws speak to our context and ensure that if there is necessity or necessary measures to be taken to reform them, we need to reform them, because if we look at Zimbabwe, it's more of like our economy is informal. So again, if we fail then to tap into the informal activities and regulate it very, very well and probably condemn it each and every day, we're not going to get anything out of it. But again, we foresee probably, I would say, an increase in corrupt activities to those who will be also even enforcing some of these, enforcing the moratorium. We foresee an increase in terms of corrupt activities because the foundation or the basis around which the decision has been made, I would say that it is shaky. Hence, as I said before in my submissions, that the local authority cannot be able to sustain policing to say we have banned night vending.
Thank you very much, Ruben, for sharing the sentiments of the residents and in their response to this night vending ban. Now, still on what's happening around the CBD, the city of Harare visited 599 businesses as of Friday last week and closed 228 buildings for non-compliance, while 214 buildings did not have business licenses. And in a statement, the city said a total of 151 buildings did not have certificates of occupation, and 219 buildings have paid up bills, while 190 buildings have approved building plans. Now, Task Force Chairperson Edgar Zehonye says the goal is to restore order, enforce safety standards, and ensure all businesses operate within the law.
A number of buildings have been partitioned without the necessary authority. And these buildings that have been partitioned without necessary authority, we have given them an opportunity to make sure that they regularize their illegal partitions.
And still to come on Newsplus, GMB officials take stand against corruption.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Call for public nominations for persons to serve on the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. The Committee on Standing Rules and Orders of the Parliament of Zimbabwe is mandated in terms of Section 237(1)(b) of the Constitution to invite the public to nominate candidates for possible appointment by His Excellency the President of Zimbabwe to serve as commissioners on independent commissions. The term of office for the current commissioners of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission will soon expire, resulting in 6 vacancies. In light of this, the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders, CSRO, invites the public to submit nominations for individuals to be considered for possible appointment to the Commission. The functions of the Commission and the person specifications are given below. Number 1, Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. Functions of the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, Section 243 of the Constitution. Person specifications for appointment to the Commission. Individuals eligible for appointment to the Commission must meet the following criteria. Nomination material must consist of a typewritten submission of no more than 2 A4 pages long, stating why the person nominated is a suitable candidate, together with a detailed curriculum vitae and a nomination form which can be obtained at the new Parliament of Zimbabwe, Mount Hamden offices, Human Resources Department, 3rd floor, room 340, or downloaded from the Parliament website, www.palzim.gov.zw. Nominations must be addressed to the Clerk of Parliament in sealed envelopes, clearly marked with the name of the Commission. These may be emailed to clerk@palzim.gov.zw, posted or hand-delivered to the Clerk of Parliament, Parliament of Zimbabwe, New Parliament Building, 2nd floor, room 201, Records and Information Department, Mount Hamden, by post P.O. Box CY 298, Causeway, Harare. The closing date for submission of nominations is Friday, 29 August 2025 at 16:30 hours. Parliament of Zimbabwe, a strong, independent, people-driven world-class parliament, a SARS ISO 9001 2015 certified organization.
Welcome back. You are watching Monday's edition of Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. Now, as we go on with giving you updates on what's happening around you, we take a look at a story on a stand against corruption. In a significant step towards reinforcing ethical governance, the Grain Marketing Board has signed an integrity pledge with the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. More in the following report.
The signing ceremony held in Harare this Monday and overseen by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission saw commissioners, executives and senior officials pledging to play a role in fighting corruption. Integrity pledges are social contracts through which individuals affirm their commitment to act against corruption. GMB authorities highlighted the parastatal's historical mandate to save farmers and safeguard national food security, stating that integrity is essential to delivering on that mandate.
I am proud to highlight that the Grain Marketing Board has established a dedicated integrity committee of the board, which is responsible for monitoring, guiding, and addressing integrity issues across the organization. This committee plays a vital role in strengthening ethical behavior, providing internal oversight, and ensuring that integrity remains a cornerstone of our institutional culture.
GMB Chief Executive Dr. Edson Badarai described the pledge as part of the organization's broader commitment to transparency and good governance.
Today's event is not merely ceremonial, it is a strong and public declaration of our zero tolerance stance on corruption, misconduct and abuse of office. I'm proud to highlight that over the past few years, GMB has worked closely with ZAC on integrity-related cases, and some of these cases are within the courts.
ZAC Commissioner Chido Madiwa praised GMB for joining a growing list of institutions actively embracing the integrity pledge, aligning with Zimbabwe's national anti-corruption drive.
History has shown us repeatedly that when corruption takes root in institutions responsible for food security, the consequences extend far beyond financial losses. Corrupt practices in grain marketing can lead to artificial scarcities, inflated prices that burden the poorest families, reduced payments to farmers, who form the backbone of our agricultural sector, and ultimately the erosion of public trust in government institutions.
So far, over 140 institutions, including government departments, parastatals, and private entities, have established integrity committees to combat corruption in the country. At least 12,000 individuals from these institutions have signed integrity pledges committing to uphold ethical standards. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Talent Gori in Harare.
Now, in Shamba South, a once remote village is now home to an educational success story. Jitokwe Primary School is not just a new school, it's a symbol of resilience, community spirit, and corporate partnership. More details in the following report.
In a village where children once walked up to 20 kilometers to attend school, Jitokwe Primary School in Shamba, Mashonaland Central now stands as a testament to President Mnangagwa's mantra that a community is developed by its people. The long distance to school previously resulted in an increase in school dropouts and early marriages. The village has started an initiative to build a school in this community, making over 150,000 handmade bricks.
Kana wayafektiwa nekuti akatadza kuenda kuchikoro vamwe vaigumira kumati grade 3 akatadza kuenda kuchikoro aibva apinda mumba apa achiri mwana mudiki wakungogara zvenguva diki akusiyiwa futi saka apa zvavava nechikoro akaendawo kuchikoro mwana anoramba achingozvona semwana mudiki achingoenda kuchikoro saka tinotenda kwazvo nokuti vamwe vana vazhinji vaigumirawo primary.
Jitokwe Primary School, born from the community's determination and supported by corporate goodwill, symbolizes hope and resilience. Shamba South lawmaker believes such communities, though, coupled with corporate support, can go a long way in fighting drug abuse through keeping children in school.
Patakasisa cabin gore rino tanda wana 200 vakagara kumba vasina kwavari kuenda. Izvi zvinoita fight against drugs, fight against early marriage kuno Mashonaland Central kunyanya kuno kune mamains. Saka takazoisira cabin izvo zvinhu zvichine wana 150 kuti vangu vachiita secondary, asi ava vaonawo zvakadaro weCanterbury vati ivo vakuita secondary, saka secondary ndo second phase.
Canterbury Mine, which operates in Shamba community, invested over $1 million towards the construction of this school, staff housing, and a clinic. Currently, 7 classroom blocks with 21 rooms are ready to accommodate up to 840 pupils.
This Shamba community has treated us well. So in us making money and going up the ladder, it is also good that the same community is reflective of what it is giving to us. So what motivated us is simply that they've given us their resource, so they should have value for the money, and so that they also understand what an investor means. Because when the president says Zimbabwe is open for business, in order for the general public to understand why this is such an issue, we have got to show them that when an investor comes, the investor gives back, and this is what you see when an investor comes in.
The school will also be solar powered, connected to internet, and equipped with digital boards, positioning Jitokwe as one of Zimbabwe's few rural smart schools.
Now, as part of our ongoing profiling of national heroes ahead of Heroes and Defence Forces Day commemorations, tonight we cast the spotlight on the late Zanla commander, Josiah Tongogara.
General Josiah Tongogara, affectionately known as General Tongo during the Second Chimurenga, was the commander of the Zimbabwe African National Union ZANU's military wing ZANDA. He was also part of the Darere Chimurenga and the High Command which directed the liberation struggle against Ian Smith's government. In December 2017, King George VI Barracks and the Air Force headquarters in Harare were changed to Josiah Tongogara Barracks in honor of the late liberation icon. Josiah Tongogara was born in Selukwe, now Shurugwi, on 4 February 1938 and was involved in a fatal accident which claimed his life on 26 December 1979, soon after the Lancaster House Agreement, which gave birth to independent Zimbabwe. He was married to Angeline and the couple had 4 children. Tongogara grew up in Shurugwi, on a farm which was owned by Ian Smith's parents. Tongogara's parents were employed at this farm, and subsequently he also became an employee on that same farm. He was educated up to Standard 6, and after failing to be enrolled for his secondary education, he left the country for Northern Rhodesia, present-day Zambia, in 1960. In Northern Rhodesia, Tongogara studied bookkeeping, and after completing his studies, he was employed the following year as a secretary at a golf club known as Chainama. Tongogara began his revolutionary activities in 1963 in Zambia, working with ZANU-PF's youth wing, awaiting to be sent to China to receive military training. After completing his training, he led the first group of people to undergo military training in China in 1966. In the ZANU-PF elections of 1973, he was elected to be the leader of the High Command, deposing Herbert Chitepo. Shortly after this, Tongogara became the commander of ZANLA. The following year, Tongogara stood firmly opposing the December 1974 peace talks engineered by the then president of Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda, which were meant to bring to an end the liberation struggle, leading to the attainment of independence as a result of negotiations. In April 1975, Tongogara was arrested and detained in Zambia after Herbert Chitepo, who was ZANU-PF chairman, was assassinated in March. Whilst in prison, he signed the agreement on the formation of a joint military force, the Zimbabwe People's Army ZIPA, which was to be composed of guerrillas from ZANLA and the Zimbabwe People's Revolutionary Army ZIPRA, which was the military wing of ZAPU. In 1976, Tongogara was acquitted and managed to attend the Geneva Conference, which was held in the same year, where he played a pivotal role in the negotiations.
And now on to some weather matters. As the country is now looking to transitioning from winter into summer, we are now joined live by our weatherman, James Ngoma, who is the chief forecaster at the Meteorological Services Department, to get a forecast as we start the month of August. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining us here on Newsplus. What changes in temperature and weather patterns can Zimbabweans expect as the country transitions from winter?
That's a very interesting question. We are still having the wintry weather upon us, so the mornings are rather cold. As of this morning, we had severe ground frost in areas such as Henderson, Nyanga, as well as Marondera, that's to the northeastern parts of the country. This was because of the moisture that was drifting out of the country, and we had cooling winds over much of the country as the weekend progressed. That led to a bit of cloudiness over Masvingo, Matabeleland South, and Manicaland. But as this moisture was drifting out, we had those clear skies giving us the very sudden drop of temperatures over much of the northern and eastern parts of the country. So that ground frost was over much of those areas with moderate into the interior. We had drops of about 4 degrees Celsius in terms of our minimum across much of those areas. So most of our areas ended up in the negatives, with areas such as Nyanga recording a negative 0 degrees in terms of the screen minimum, but the actual ground was at -3, and we had areas such as Johannesson recording -2 as the screen minimum and a -3 as well for the ground minimum. So the differences in these temperatures are still going to be seen in the days ahead. Whilst we're having warmer afternoons, the evenings tend to be very cold. So we're still expecting another cold spell as we get into Thursday and Friday as well.
So James, how might this transition impact agriculture, particularly for farmers preparing for the new planting season?
Thank you very much. These dying last parts of the season give very cold conditions in terms of the windy and southeasterly winds that come upon us. And because of that, we still expect a bit more ground frost in some areas because of the clear skies that happen, and the cooling southeasterlies to still influence much of the south and eastern parts of the country. And to the farmer, because of this ground frost, you get most of the plants being affected, so farmers should take due precaution in terms of monitoring the ground frost that we always issue forecasts for, especially during these months of July into August, as well as some parts of September if the season prolongs. So farmers should still be wary about the ground frost, and when this happens, it's always advisable to enhance the moisture content in the field by irrigating using your overhead sprinklers. This induce the warmer atmosphere across board and reduce the effects of ground frost.
Thank you very much, James, for sharing with our viewers all the information that can help them prepare for the weather. Now, when Newsplus returns, we'll give you updates from the world around us.
Got some questions about Showmax? Well, we've got the answers. What is Showmax? Showmax is not a TV channel. It's a streaming service with tons of hit series, movies, and more. Plus, Premier League live on mobile. Just pick what you want and hit play. No schedule or airing times. With Showmax, you watch what you want, when you want, and where you want. For any other queries, find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, or TikTok.
This is Newsplus coming to you live from Harare. We now take a look at what's happening in the world around us. Now, a prosthetics center in Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, has been giving maimed victims another chance at life as ongoing hostilities continue to cause serious injuries to civilians, including women and children. Now, during the fighting in the eastern DRC, hundreds of people caught in the crossfire had to have their limbs amputated as life-saving treatment.
The Shirika La Umoja Center is the only facility with an orthopedic workshop that can offer quality prosthetics and orthotics despite the equipment and production being expensive. There aren't many centers, which is a problem, and the need is enormous. For instance, for a person who had an amputation 10 or 5 years back and has a prosthesis, it needs to be replaced every 2 to 3 years. For children, it's every 6 months because they're still growing. So that means the need increases each year, and the hostilities are still ongoing. People are still getting injured, so we have the old ones to fit, and we end up with new ones.
Now, moving on from that story in the DRC, a long disused railway line in Nigeria has been revamped and put back into operation to mitigate rising commuting costs caused by soaring fuel prices. The railway line, which is part of an intra-city rail system in north-central Nigeria's Plateau state, was relaunched by local authorities to ease the cost of commuting, with most residents in the state struggling to cope with soaring fuel prices after the federal government scraped petrol subsidies in 2023. Now, many commuters have welcomed the government's efforts to revive the nation's rail services.
The intention primarily is for His Excellency to find alternative options or transportation within the city center to assuage the pains and agony, if it's the right word to use.
Look at the volume of the passenger we are carrying. A bus cannot pick it even if it runs for like 10 times daily. We take off the first train from Bukuru at 06:50 hours. That is 10 minutes to 7. And the price is affordable.
Now, as tensions continue to escalate in the Red Sea region, many fishermen living along Yemen's western coast are facing mounting difficulties, trapped between rising risks at sea and worsening hunger at home. Once reliant on the bounty of the sea for their livelihood, they now find themselves navigating a dangerous and uncertain future. And as the Red Sea situation continues to deteriorate, the fishermen are being pushed into smaller and smaller fishing areas, with many returning with empty nests, most of the times.
العمل كان أول أحسن ولو في أسواق لتسويق الأسماك، أما الآن الأسواق الأسعار راكدة، والآن الصيادين يجمعوا الصيد يشتروا المشترين شيء يدخلوا السعودية، لو ما يوصل المنفذ يقولون المنفذ مغلق. دمروا الصيادين بشكل عام. ما فيش أسواق لتسويق الأسماك، يبيعوا بأرخص ثمن ويعانوا من المواد زي البترول والحاجات اللي يحتاجوها أسعارها مرتفعة وأسعار السمك منخفض.
Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he was not looking for leverage, but fairness after imposing tariffs on many countries around the world on August 1. He was speaking in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. Now, Mr. Trump said the tariffs came into force on Friday for all countries without some kind of trade deal, with exceptions for the likes of China, which has a deadline of August 12, and Mexico, which agreed to a 90-day extension of the current situation.
We want the people fed, and we're the only country that's really doing that. We're putting up money to get the people fed, and Steve Witkoff is doing a great job, and we want Israel to get them fed. We're giving some pretty big contributions. Yeah, I'm not looking for leverage. I'm looking for fairness. We want reciprocal as much as possible. Sometimes reciprocal would be too much for them to handle because it would be a much bigger number, but we want to see some reciprocity.
Newsplus will be right back with your business updates.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Thank you for staying tuned to Newsplus. It's time now to take a look at what's happening in the world of business. Now, Zimbabwe is targeting 360 million kilograms of tobacco in the next season. Earnings. But beyond the numbers, the focus is now on value addition and localized financing. Zim Papers, together with the Tobacco Industry Marketing Board and the Ministry of Agriculture, convened a high-level indaba in Harare to push for local processing and industrial growth. Our business reporter, Melissa Tatikobo, gives us the details.
As of 1 August 2025, Zimbabwe farmers had sold 352 million kilograms of tobacco worth $1.17 billion United States dollars, a 53% rise in volume and a 48% jump in earnings compared to last season. But as the sector celebrates, stakeholders are focusing on long-term value and sustainability. At the Tobacco Indaba in Harare, organized by Zim Papers TIMB at the Ministry of Agriculture, farmers, merchants and policymakers met to tackle key issues and define a roadmap for 2025-2026 season. One major concern, side marketing. Farmers argue it's often driven by uncompetitive prices offered by contractors and propose allowing multiple contract arrangements to increase choice and fairness.
We propose that contracts be based on land size or hectareage or projected output volumes, thereby allowing farmers the flexibility to engage with multiple buyers offering more favorable terms.
With the new 360 million kg target in sight, the focus is also on localized financing, cost reduction, and domestic processing to maximize economic returns.
If you have achieved 351 million when the government had budgeted 300 million, it means you can do better than 351 million. So government is expecting a minimum of 360 million kilograms from the tobacco industry next year.
In 2025, the global cigarette market generated $872.8 billion United States dollars, with an expected annual growth rate of 2.39%. As Zimbabwe moves towards tobacco beneficiation, identifying and securing export markets will be crucial.
If you want any level of beneficiation beyond where we are today, you must think of engaging those governments to say, can you cede some of your market to us? You understand? That's the realism.
From sales flows to policy corridors, Zimbabwe's story is shifting, and if current plans succeed, the country's biggest export could finally become its biggest transformation tool. Reporting for ZTM Prime, I am Melissa Chatkobo in Harare.
And still on business, opposition party leader Timothy Mncube has said the 3.3 billion ZiG declared by Finance Minister in the mid-year surplus must be leveraged decisively to bolster the country's economic stability and elevate the living standards of all Zimbabweans. Mncube, president of the Zimbabwe African National Congress, described the surplus as a positive milestone, commending the government for demonstrating restraint in expenditure.
As Zimbabwe African National Congress, ZANC, we acknowledge the reported 3.3 billion ZiG budget surplus halfway through 2025, reflecting some fiscal discipline. However, with only 35% of the budget spent so far, we are concerned about delays and inefficiency in government spending, which risk slowing down economic recovery and service delivery. We call on the government to improve fund release and utilization while pushing for deeper reforms to create jobs and strengthen the economy. ZANC remains committed to constructive engagement to ensure transparency, accountability, and better outcomes for all Zimbabweans.
Stay tuned to Newsplus for some entertainment and sports news ahead. We'll start with entertainment. A 26-year-old Zim dancehall artist from Chitungwiza has released a powerful new single tackling Zimbabwe's growing drug and substance abuse crisis amongst the youth. Now, the track, titled Moyo Wekubereka, speaks of the pain and regret felt by parents whose children have fallen victim to dangerous substances. And in the song, Previous Marimo, known in his circles as Silent Swagger, delivers a raw and emotional message portraying the anguish of parents that are weeping over children whose lives are being destroyed by drugs. And in an interview, the musician said his mission is to use his music as a weapon to fight societal ills and inspire positive change among young people. And still on entertainment, popular musician Mbewu has just released a new song entitled Mukwambo. Reflecting on his journey after he survived a terrible accident in January, he has a new appreciation of life and a new creative streak. And on this particular song, he collaborated with Norman Samasamba and says Norman is like family to him as they have a joint history in music. And the thought process behind this track stems from the culture of eloping, followed by an encouragement to respect families after choosing to be together. Here's a snippet from the new sound.
Mukwambo, mukwambo, muchengetane. Mukwambo, mukwambo, muchengetane. Chero ini baba venyu ndisina kuchachuma. Mukwambo, mukwambo.
Now, the Grateful Experience concert, which was held at the Gaborone International Convention Center in Botswana, set a new benchmark for arts and entertainment in the Southern African Development Community, SADC. This landmark event showcased the profound ability of music to transcend borders and bring nations together, highlighting unity and cultural celebration. Now, under the leadership of songstress Eliana Makombe, the concert also featured an impressive roster of artists from South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. The other performances were from Janet Manyoa, Everton Mlalazi, Minister Michael Mahendere, Blessing Jethan, Eliana Makombe herself, Africa Praise, Take Sure Zama, and the Cherais. Now, stay tuned to Newsplus for sports updates coming up shortly. Scotland laid out their title credentials with an emphatic 5-2 win over FC Platinum at Mandava on Saturday. It was the biggest win for Maviravira, with new signings Knowledge Msona and Mafios Chiweta making their debuts. Now, Scotland coach Tonderai Ndiraya was full of praise for his side's performance against FC Platinum, rating it as 5-star.
Excited for the boys. They put up a very good show today. I think the plan was very clear. It's a very clear plan. We knew Platinum would knock the ball around, so it was just a matter of us applying a press and counter-pressing, for that matter, for us to force them to make mistakes and capitalize on those mistakes. I think we did that. And that's what gave us the result today. This is a new team. I keep saying that. It's it takes some bit of time for a team to really start to play together. Yes, it was a very good performance, a 5-star for that matter, 5-star performance for that matter, but we still have some areas to work on. Kama Billiard is coming back from injury. We recently added Knowledge Msona, and look, they need some bit of time to really start playing together. But that's who we are. We want to keep working, keep concentrating, and focus on the next games to come. But a very good performance from the team.
Now, Ndiraya also admitted that the result put more pressure on his side to land the league title in their debut season.
There are 30 more points to play for. 30 more points. But like I've said in previous interviews, that we don't want to go ahead of ourselves. It's still game on, 30 points. There's so much competition. Any team in the top 5 can get it at the moment. It looks like that. But like I've said, our target is to be in the top 5. And so far we are good, we are there. I will not deny that we have increased our chances of landing the title, but it all depends on how the other teams are doing. If you look at it, I think we are separated by probably a point, and we don't know what will happen in the next games, but for now I think we must just keep the focus, keep concentrating, keep getting points, keep focused on what we want to achieve as a team. This is our first season in the league. We don't want to put ourselves under so much pressure. I would not deny that we are in the mix, but really, I don't want us to put a lot of pressure. But the coming in of Knowledge is increasingly adding pressure on us for us to really land the title.
Now, this is how the log table is shaping up after match day 24 in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League. Simba Bora continues to lead the way with 47 points from 24 matches, one ahead of second-placed Scotland, who have 46. Moors remain third with 42 points despite dropping points for the 5th match in a row. Now, FC Platinum complete the top 4 with 40 points, although the Jishavane side have a game in hand. Now, at the other end of the table, Kwekwe remain rooted at the bottom with 9 points. Dynamos remain second from bottom with 19 points, with Yada and Triangle completing the relegation places. And still on sport, Chibuku pre-round. The 2025 Chibuku Super Cup gets underway this week with both preliminary and first round action. Preliminary round action starts on Wednesday with Yada facing Dynamos at Ngoni Stadium in Norton. On Thursday, Triangle play Kwekwe United at Mandava in the other preliminary round match. The winners will progress to the first round, which will take place on 9 and 10 August. Now, Buffaloes are beginning to see a bright title campaign after edging FC Wangu Mazodze 1-0 in a Pacific Storm Eastern Region encounter at Vengere in Rusape on Saturday. Now, the win propelled the Army side to 36 points and within striking distance of the championships race, trailing leaders FC Hunters, who are on 41 points. Now, Buffalo's striker Terence Maricano, who scored the winning goal, hailed the win as a morale booster ahead of their next encounter against Rusitu Tigers.
It wasn't for myself, but for everyone. It was a tough match, but we managed to get a win. Thank everyone for that. Thank all the supporters and those who were behind me and behind our team. That's where we're aiming to. We're aiming to win the championship. So we keep working hard every day, every time for better. So as we start again training on Tuesday, we are starting a new game weekend when we're going to Lesotho. We have to try our best to get maximum points at Lesotho.
Now, as the nation grapples with a surge in drug and substance abuse, with most cases mostly emanating amongst the youth, calls have been made for a collaborative effort in the fight against this menace. This was said at a recent sports tournament held at Goromonzi Sports Club, where seven private colleges converged to battle it out for the Mudzidzi Shumba Trophy. And speaking to ZTN Prime, the sponsor for the tournament, Ishmael Mataya, highlighted that as part of this year's edition, they have found it ideal to invite stakeholders from ZRP, Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, as well as Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare for a drug abuse campaign to our students.
Vana vechikoro vawewo nevabereki vavo nevamwe vari mucommunity vasvika pano tichiita zvemasports tournament taonawo futi zvekare kuti zvakanaka kushedza mapurisa vauye vataura nemayouth naizvozvo ichokwadi vataura nemayouth maererano nezvemadrugs vataura kuti nhau yekupedza madrugs inotoda mushandira pamwe ende inoda kuti izvo pazikanwe pari kusaplaiwa madrugs vaneva vakangosungwa chete zvinotongoreva kuti community yedu yagara zvakanaka. Saka mukana unoyu nyange tichita zvemasports ndafara nawo nedzidziso yaitwa nemapurisa, Ministry of Youth, Social Welfare, ma-stakeholders ese anga ari pano.
Now, Noah Lyles believes he is rounding into form at the right time ahead of next month's World Championships in Tokyo after a scintillating world-leading 200-meter victory at the U.S. trials on Sunday. Now, Lyles, the reigning Olympic 100-meter champion, will attempt to defend both his 100-meter and 200-meter world crowns in Japan, aiming to emulate Usain Bolt with a fourth consecutive world 200-meter gold. Now, the 28-year-old from Florida warmed up for that challenge in Eugene on Sunday by clocking a world-leading 19.63 seconds in a testy battle with Kenny Bednarek. Now that concludes our bulletin this evening. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Wadzanai Sansole. Have a good night.